Hello and welcome to this 29th episode of the Denver Homes Market Report. This is Ricky Schoonover of Mode Real Estate. I hope you tuned in last week to hear all about the neighborhood of Clayton and how one man, George W. Clayton's legacy lives on throughout the neighborhood, which bears his name. So where do we go from here? We started out this journey about 8 or maybe 10 episodes ago. I think it started with La Alma, Lincoln Park. We then moved east along Colfax, and each week from I-25 to Colorado Boulevard, we pretty much hit every neighborhood north and south along Colfax until we hit Colorado Boulevard. From there, we went south and we talked up the great neighborhood of Cheeseman Park. We then worked our way north into City Park and then into Skyland and Clayton. And now we either jump I-70 or we stay right here in this little area just outside downtown. We still have some awesome neighborhoods right here in what used to be considered the suburbs. But honestly, today, Whittier doesn't really feel like a suburb at all. It is city close, and if you have a bicycle, downtown is just a short ride away, or perhaps you head south a bit into the uptown area, where again, the retail options, the theaters, the restaurants, the pubs, all right there. So today, let's really do a deep dive into this neighborhood known as Whittier. From a general geographic viewpoint, it's pretty ideal. You have the neighborhood of Cole just to our north and Rhino Arts District just a short distance from there. You have 5 Points and all that's going on in that neighborhood just to your west. You have, of course, Skyland to your east, and then City Park and Uptown to the south. The streets that make up Whittier are Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard to the north. You got York Street on our eastern border and East 23rd Avenue right there near the park and the Denver Zoo. And then finally, our western border being Downing Street. So now that we all know exactly where Whittier is from a geographic standpoint, what about the neighborhood itself? Why might you want to consider buying a home in this particular area? What might be the draw? Well, first of all, the history of Whittier is an intriguing one. You see, there was this gentleman by the name of John Greenleaf Whittier. John was a poet. He was also a founding member of the Republican Party. He was also a staunch abolitionist who worked tirelessly to help put an end to slavery. The neighborhood of Whittier, no doubt, has strongly influenced by the ideas of John Greenleaf Whittier. Beyond the cool history of the neighborhood, which seems just as relevant today as from its inception, you also have the architecture, with much of the area being developed in the late 1800s, and with the area being a suburb at the time, the homes built, many of which are Victorian, but not all Victorians are built with tall turrets, dormers, wraparound porches, and ornate stickwork. These Queen Anne homes are beautiful and are sought after today. Many may not realize there are many Victorian styles, and many of which are really quite simple by design. These homes, known as folk Victorian, were prominent around 1870 to about 1910. They were built throughout Denver, and in fact, every third or fourth home as you drive through Whittier provides many fine examples of these simple yet functional and well-built homes. We may be hard-pressed 100 or 130 years from now to see how some of the homes that are being built today could possibly be standing so proud and so strong. Another example you'll find are the Craftsmans and the bungalows. The Craftsmans came a bit later, but much of which were built in Whittier were built by the year 1940 and before. You may or may not know this, but did you know the true Craftsman homes were actually prefabricated and were sold through the Sears and Roebuck's catalog? The reason these homes were so prevalent in certain areas was due to the fact they were loaded onto trains and transported to the towns where they would eventually be built. This is why you'll see clusters of these craftsman homes which were built in areas that had railroads running through them, like Denver. Of course, as time travels on, homes over the years have been scraped and new homes have been built. This is not a Whittier neighborhood or even limited to Denver. There have been lots in which are being combined for more dense housing throughout many metro areas. However, Whittier does hold on to this old world charm of a simple and modest stance. This area has caught the eye of many who are looking for city close, but without being right in the thick of it all the time. I love going into downtown, grab a drink or catch a game at either the Pepsi Center or the ballpark. Well, not this year, but we will power through this whole COVID outbreak, and hopefully in the next year or two, we can get back to some sense of normalcy. But I think you get my point. Visiting the busy downtown area can be a lot of fun. However, it may not be everyone's cup of tea to be right in the thick of it all the time. Whittier is one of many neighborhoods which offer that perfect balance for some. You want to be city close, be able to ride your bike through the park or even to the zoo. What an ideal location. All while having a home where the streets are not lined with parking meters and you can have friends visit with not too much trouble of finding a place to park and paying an arm and a leg. So, with all that being said, I do like to highlight a few listings which at the time of my producing this podcast are currently available. I also want to point out, you can search any neighborhood you would like through my website. I use a host for my site who are based right here out of the Denver area. The reason this is so important is the fact that I researched dozens of website hosts, and the search experience for you as the consumer is far superior than trying to use some national site where their search has to work across many MLS platforms and it just doesn't search very well. My website host uses the same professional database that I pay to have access to as a licensed realtor. So from a consumer standpoint, you are able to mimic your search very close to the same level of experience as I do being licensed. So if you want to set up your own searches, you can do that. If you are thinking of selling your home, there is a tab for that as well. I also have some specialized searches under a tab located "What mode are you in?" There are a few preset searches. One is my luxury mode, where all the homes on that list are $1 million and above, or even an affordability mode, where all the homes listed are under $250,000 and they are all within 10 miles of downtown Denver. So please log in www.denverhomesmarket.com. Take it for a test drive. One of the biggest advantages for you as a consumer is that there are zero paid advertisers on my site. You can create and log in to your very own account and never have random people spamming you on your email or jamming up your phone. You will only be collaborating with me. What can I say? I'm selfish. I have no reason to share your information with anyone. So go to denverhomesmarket.com and check it out for yourself. This is where we'll go today. See what's currently available for sale in the Whittier neighborhood. The first property we're going to talk about today is listed by Modus Real Estate. This is a unique opportunity and one that not an everyday buyer is likely looking for. This building is located at 1736 East 31st Avenue. It's a large 9,000 square foot vintage brick building, and there are definitely opportunities. This building will take some careful due diligence, and some imagination to come up with its highest and best use. It's listed at $1,500,000. And as I said, this building may have some capability to be turned into mixed use or even multi-unit lofts. But when you're buying property like this, you had for sure have to have some experience and know what you are doing and make sure you have the planning and if your plans are feasible. So perhaps you're not in the market for a vintage building waiting for your imagination and your deep pocketbook. So let's look at the opposite end of the spectrum and see what the most affordable home currently available in Whittier. Here we have a condo listed by Mid-Mod, Colorado. This is a really cool condo. It's located within a vintage brick building. It's located at 3127 North Downing. It's technically in Curtis Park, as it's right on that sweet spot there where Champa and Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard meet. But it's a very cool condo. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, 646 square feet of living space, and comes with 1 parking spot. This home is listed for $324,000. So we have the most expensive listing at $1.5 million. We have the most affordable at $324,000. But what if you're looking for a typical middle-of-the-road listing? Let's look at this one. It's presented by Redfin Corporation. This is a perfect example of a folk Victorian, the ones I spoke of earlier. Fairly simple, modest homes built in the late 1800s. This home is located at 3050 North Marion Street. It has 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 1,376 square feet of living space. This home comes with 2 off-street parking spaces, and it is just beautifully done. From the xeriscaped yard to the gorgeous interior, bamboo floors. This home was built in 1886, and she is still standing proud today at $575,000. Something tells me this home will not be on the market for very long. So there you have it. $1.5 million, $575,000, and $324,000. You have quite a few options if you are considering Whittier for a neighborhood you would like to call home. Give me a call. Whether you want more information on this particular neighborhood or you have another Denver metro area in mind, I'm happy to chat with you about your specifics. Perhaps you own a home and you're thinking it's time to sell. Give me a call. My number here, 720-688-5110. Well, this is going to wrap up our 29th episode of the Denver Homes Market Report. As always, I sure hope you enjoyed listening. You now have 29 episodes to binge listen if you have not already heard them all. Plus, if you subscribe, you'll be alerted as I put out a new episode each Thursday by 5 p.m. Well, that's the goal anyway. This whole COVID is not going away anytime soon. So please, if you need to be out and about, do that as safe as possible. Follow the guidelines, and let's all keep each other safe out there. This is, once again, Ricky Schoonover, Mode Real Estate. I thank you for listening.